Alrighty. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to part two of editing this podcast, episode 109. Um, yeah, today we're just gonna finish all the rest of the cuts. We have about like 45 minutes left. I'm gonna try to do it within an hour. I doubt it, but try to go for an hour. Last part we discuss how to get to this step over here. So basically we brought in all of our articles of editing, so video and audio. We organized them all so that we were able to distinguish which camera was which. And then we brought everything on into a timeline, converted that timeline into a multi-cam timeline, and then we were able to switch between the cameras. And so part two today is just finishing up all the cuts, making sure they all make sense. If you didn't check that last part, go check it out. It will be up on a YouTube channel somewhere. That's it for now. Let's just jump right into it.
It's like a 30-minute, 40-minute thing. Like,
let's review the last like 10 last minute or so.
It's crazy.
First off,
there's no job in the world that is
Pause.
that important.
Pause.
No, it was from
I just need to highlight how wild it is to take your laptop to the
To
mall.
Aritzia.
Like to
Hey,
Aritzia.
I'm going to Aritzia for 40 minutes. Gonna take my laptop.
Yeah, no, everyone was staring. So basically, like what Dee was saying was, I was in the general sitting area where
Okay,
all the
general.
boyfriends are, and I'm
Yes.
and they're all on their phones. But my laptops already, people are looking at me crazy. And then Alyssa comes in, she's like, "We're gonna go try on some clothes. Can you come?" So I brought my laptop into the dressing room. So
Don't try this at
So that is what happened. Again, I'm not. I apologize. Okay.
To all the kids out there watching, I promise you, your bosses are not paying you enough to do that.
I'm just saying
Maybe
this.
your clients are though.
I'm just saying that was a one-time thing,
Yeah.
and it was a time-sensitive thing that had to happen on the weekend. So like,
Yeah.
I wanted to get it done. And
That's
Like-
one of those situations where you just say, "I can't go shopping today, babe." You're
Yeah,
gonna do
no,
work.
But
you're
it's
not
like
wrong.
a 30-minute, 40-minute thing. Like all of this to say, I only bring that up just because like situations like that arise. Like whether,
Yeah.
like don't get me wrong, that's not the normal. Like I don't think you've done that again. I don't think like that's your goal.
I mean, to be honest though, like I've actually
Has he done it again?
no. Can I be honest? Like,
I'm like,
no, I'm not.
trying to shoot
No,
this man bail.
that's not happened again. Like that hasn't happened again.
Because we're trying to help you.
No, I was just
Okay.
I don't,
Let's see if that
I
what
don't
cut
think
was
you've
right.
done that again. I don't think like that's your goal.
I mean, to be honest though,
Right there. So a bit late. And I think I'll change this to
like I've actually
Has he
had.
done it? Done it again?
No, can I be honest? Like,
this one.
Done it again?
no, can I be honest though? Like I've actually
Has he
had.
done it again?
No, can I be honest? Like,
I'm like,
no, I'm not.
trying to shoot
No,
this man bail.
that's not happened again. Like that hasn't happened again. Yeah, like that hasn't happened again.
Because we're trying to help you.
No, I was just like, I've had a conversation with my girlfriend where I'm like, look, like I plan to be an entrepreneur. If I'm an entrepreneur, given like what I do, I'm most likely going to work with clients, and I'm going to work with a few really expensive clients, no matter what I'm doing for the rest of my life. And that's going to require me to be responsive. Like that's the nature of this job. And I'm like, if you want to have things, like for example, you want to be able to send our kids to the things that they want to do. If your family wants something, you want to be able to get them that thing. I want that to happen. But a caveat of that happening might be that in certain circumstances, I'm not going to be 100% present. And like, keep in mind, I'm like that. You know what I mean?
No, you
like,
are,
and
yeah.
it's like, she knows that. So, and like, keep in mind, I'm like that. You know what I mean?
No, you
like,
are,
and
yeah.
it's like, she knows that. So it's like one of those things where like, I don't feel like I would feel horrible if she was hiding the fact that she just hated this entire time.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Because we've been together for quite some time now, but you know, I would like to think it works, but if it doesn't, maybe this is a conversation you can have.
No, you're good. You're good. No,
Yeah, man.
it's totally fine.
Anyway, next episode, Luke comes on. Anyway, guys, I'm single.
Tears in his eyes. Got his laptop beside him. I'm coping. Leave me alone.
Anyway, so Clive.
Coping, leave me alone.
Anyway, so climate change, guys.
Actually, I was gonna say with the turn of the new year, something shocked me at the beginning of this year, and I told the guys this.
Oh yeah.
But so Dolapo and I both participate in fantasy leagues. We both lost, guys. This.
Oh yeah.
But so Dolapo and I both participate in fantasy leagues. We both lost our fantasy leagues. Yeah, keep your hand up. It's okay,
Dude,
keep your hand up. It's okay, dude. I'm the commissioner of my league, and I had to pay out the winner.
A questionable commissioner, by the way, but like.
Okay, dude. I'm the commissioner of my league. It's okay, dude. I'm the commissioner of my league, and I had to pay out the winner.
A questionable commissioner, by the way, but like it was your first year.
Yeah,
so
we're not going into that.
Okay, all right.
I had to pay out the winner.
I think we should go into that. After this, man.
We're not going into that.
Okay, all right.
I had to pay out the winner.
Okay, all right.
I had to pay out the winner.
I think we should go into that. After this, man.
Okay, all right.
I had to pay out the winner.
I think we should go into that. After this, man.
There's no need. I had to pay out the winner, and half of there's no need. I had to pay out the winner, and half of us live in Canada, half of us live in the U.S., and all the money came to me months ago, right? When the exchange rate was a certain rate, and when I had to
pre-Trump election win is what
pre-Trump election win, exactly. So I had to pay out the US person who won, and I ended up paying almost $100 extra out of pocket to cover the original amount that was given to me for the fantasy.
Yeah, which is insane.
I was pissed.
Yeah.
I was pissed.
Explain why you had to do that to
well, because the exchange rate has gone down, and you now get less Canadian dollars for the same amount of American dollars, essentially. Or you get less less Canadian dollars for the same amount of American dollars. So whatever they gave me before didn't translate to enough American dollars to cover the earnings, the winnings. So I had to supplement it.
Yeah.
But it was kind of like a come to reality moment where it was like, oh shit. I mean, our exchange rate has been pretty consistent. We looked at it for the past like 10 years. It hasn't really changed.
Yeah.
Except for like the past month.
Yeah, I think when you
except for the past month.
When you had to like do the payment, I think it was like you did it when the Canadian dollar was at
kind of like a come to reality moment where it was like, oh shit. I mean, our exchange rate has been pretty consistent. We looked at it for the past like 10 years. It hasn't really changed.
Yeah.
Except for like the past month.
Yeah. I think when you
except for the past month.
When you had to like do the payment, I think it was like you did it when the Canadian dollar was at a 9-year low in comparison to the US.
Literally,
so like a tough Canadian dollar was at a 9-year low in comparison to the US.
Literally,
like a tough like little the US.
Literally,
like a tough like little transition.
Not great. It could have been worse, but it was It definitely brought into reality. We are in 2025, ladies and gentlemen. A lot's happened. A lot will happen in 2025.
Just trying to wonder, like, if they had sent it to the US guy, they wouldn't have to pay that extra 100. That's just like a deficit for Canadians.
A lot's happened. A lot will happen in 2025.
Not just
somewhere out there is like
it was It definitely brought into reality. We are in 2025, ladies and gentlemen. A lot's happened. A lot will happen. A lot's happened. A lot will happen. Ladies and gentlemen, a lot's happened. A lot. Ladies and gentlemen, a lot's happened. A lot will happen in 2025.
Somewhere out there is like a Forex trader that's
25.
Somewhere out there is like a Forex trader that's convinced that he is the reason why the dollar was adjusted.
Right.
I mean, yeah, like
right.
I mean, yeah, like it's just insane Because obviously Arya and I, we have loads of arguments because we're friends. Well, not arguments. I would say spirited conversations. Where we're just discussing, obviously the dynamics of like Canadian and U.S. politics. There's been a lot that's been going on in both countries. Obviously, with Trump trying to buy the whole country of Canada.
We're for sale apparently. I
Like,
didn't know this.
like it's like one of the more insane things that have been mentioned. And then obviously within Canada, having our prime minister resign, just due to I guess ridiculous spending, according to his
internal pressures.
Yeah,
Yeah, these are like an
internal pressures.
1,000 factors.
Not just
yeah.
These are like an
internal pressures.
Yeah,
these are like an
internal pressures.
1,000 factors.
Not just
yes,
spending.
okay, yeah, not just spending. There's a lot going on, and like just like I guess both of us kind of talking. I've had friends, make fun of people that earn in Canadian dollars as opposed to U.S. dollar, and we have friends that are trying to buy Canadian assets, and Arya and I was just talking about like how we work for U.S. companies, and so maybe that puts us in a slightly better position, if any, if at all.
I don't believe so because we get paid in Canadian dollars.
Yeah, if at all. But like just like debating all the merits of that, and then like 4 days later, I was like, I just ate shit, like because of the Canadian dollar, and I was like, wow. Like even when I was arguing that, I didn't think he would.
I should have seen it coming.
Like I guess like you would think that too, and like giving context, like I'm also in a fantasy league, but I'm the only Canadian in my fantasy league, and we have 12. And like when Arya told me, I was like, it's just been a shame that I haven't won.
Because you would have
I would have made like possibly, because there's 12 of us.
More.
Yeah, like it's like about $1,200. Like I would have made like about like 30 to 40% more. Well, outside of just the winnings, like you know what I mean, on that. And like if anything, this has given me incentive like to invest like this year I invested in AI for my fantasy. I paid like an extra like $100. Like next year, now I know, because the bet is pretty asymmetric, I can invest even more.
Right. Because this investment paid off really well, right?
Yeah, like
yeah, it did great. Right? What did you place?
It's about the process. Okay, like
do you
really well, right?
Yeah, like
yeah, it did great.
It's
right?
about,
what did you place?
It's about the process. Okay, like do you believe in the process?
Bob, I'm willing to offer something to you. Okay.
Like, do you believe in the process?
Bob, I'm willing to offer something to you. Okay, live on the podcast, I will join your fantasy league, but you get to just like as a second chance for you. So you have to pay me a fee for this because I'm gonna pretend I'm playing in full earnesty. But you get 2 chances now to win your fantasy. I'm gonna pretend I'm playing in full earnesty. But you get 2 chances now to win your fantasy league because you get to choose all my choices. But I will. But again, I will pretend in full earnesty that I am playing this fantasy league, and like I'm doing all this.
It doesn't
stuff.
work.
But
Like
you get
that.
a second chance.
Like I can't. We can't.
It especially doesn't work
people.
like that because you said it live on it.
Yeah, but like now we're combo. You see, like in my league, unlike Arya's league, we actually have an active commissioner that actually calls out questionable activity.
That's okay. That's okay.
As opposed to participating in questionable activity.
It's like
I didn't participate. Said it live on it.
But like now we're combo. You see, like in my league, unlike Arya's league, we actually have an active commissioner that actually calls out questionable activity.
That's okay. That's okay.
As opposed to participating in questionable activity.
Like
I didn't participate in questionable activity.
Okay,
don't cast aspersions on me like that.
Okay, sure. All right,
moving on from.
Moving on.
Sure.
Moving on from the fantasy topic before I get. Yeah. Anyway, I did not play fantasy this year, and I felt a little left out. I won't lie.
You can join next year.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just like I don't think I would put enough effort into it, and I think I would be bitter about that.
So you don't feel left out.
I feel left out in the sense that.
Feel left out.
I feel left out in the sense that I feel left out in the sense that any Sunday activity we're doing, Arya and D are talking about football, including weddings, You know, formal events, snowboarding.
Yeah, actually,
You know, formal events, snowboarding.
Yeah, actually, yeah,
It
that's
is.
true.
There is football talk, and I'm just like, I'm on the sideline. I'm like, oh, okay.
There's money on the line.
Money on the line. Well, not anymore. We lost.
Yeah, this is the feeling of an outsider. This is the feeling of an outsider. I feel like I'm in elementary school.
No, it's all good. It's all good. I guess I was gonna mention, like, just from our last episode, no, it's all good. It's all good. I guess I was gonna mention, like, just from our last episode, one of the things we kind of talked about, like, I think it was the times. What was that list?
Inventions,
The invention, top 200 inventions of 2024.
Exactly, and we went over. We highlighted Arya specifically. No, we highlighted a couple of them, like the toilet, which was fun.
Yep.
We highlighted X bellwether. We highlighted the heart.
Yep.
And I guess just leaning on that, like the X bellwether, which was kind of something to help predict natural disasters, became extremely relevant this past week with the Los Angeles fires, and like, you know, how rapidly they spread, the areas that were affected. I don't know. Were you guys able to see that, read some of these news articles? Just curious what your first impressions, initial thoughts were.
First of all, like, I know a few people in LA who had to evacuate. Like, they're
I guess I'll one of
Long
it was
transition.
pretty heartbreaking. I mean, like, a lot of homes safe and doing okay. It was pretty heartbreaking. I mean, like, a lot of homes got destroyed. A lot of people had to move around. They'll be fine. They'll rebuild. Most of them were pretty rich. But overall, it's overall. Dolapo and I were looking at this. The economic impact of this Palisades fire, this Los Angeles fire, is equivalent to the economic impact of Hurricane Katrina.
Wow.
But with like a fraction. This Palisades fire, this Los Angeles fire, is equivalent to the economic impact of Hurricane Katrina.
Wow.
But with like a fraction of
The area,
the neighborhoods that have had to be displaced. Which is insane. That just kind of goes to show had to be displaced. Which is insane. That just kind of goes to show the wealth disparity between the two. Either way, it's really sad. I mean, we can continue talking about it, yeah, of course. But no, I just, that was my initial reaction. It's sad, and I know people there, people who aren't rich who are affected by it, and you know, that breaks my heart for sure.
Awesome.
No, I mean, like, I don't.
Who are affected by it, and you know, that breaks my heart for sure.
Awesome.
No, I mean, like, I don't think I'm like as well read up on this topic as like you guys are. Like, I haven't been paying super like close attention to it. Like, obviously know generally like what is happening, and incredibly sad. The one thing I'll say is like what I have been seeing is like a lot of the clips of the fires, and it's like it is like very humbling as a human being to see like that scale in terms of nature. You know what I mean? And that is like, it is, from what I understand, like it was like a natural phenomenon that started this fire. It was like dry air combined with high temperatures and a bunch of different things that caused the forest fire. I believe a lot of wildfires actually started from lightning strikes in like really dry areas, because like they're like when there isn't like ignition points. But it's like you see some of these fires, man, they're terrifying, and like even like you see like all these helicopters flying over and dropping like water and whatever on them, but it's like it's just going, right? Like it's like you don't like think about like the vulnerability of humans just because like it feels like, you know, we're so dominant in the world, but it's like something like that, like there isn't really like a way for us to stop it, you know, like what I mean? Like we can't just like throw money at it and it goes away. Like yeah.
No, it's insane. I think I like both your perspectives. Arya just coming from hearing it such Katrina and saying, "Oh, this is all rich people this time." It's funny.
It doesn't make it any less sad.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. And then like, you know, just Luke talking about the helplessness. Yeah, I think it's incredible. Just the scale.
Yeah.
I think like of nature and like fire. Like, you know, it reminds me a little bit of as a kid, like, you know, in church, and like, you know, they're like fire from heaven.
Heavenly fire.
It literally kind of is fire from like nature, and like it reminds me a little bit of as a kid, like, you know, in church, and like, you know, they're like fire from heaven.
Heavenly fire.
It literally kind of is fire. From, like, imagine you're back then and you have technology
You
to
see one
understand
of
climate
these things?
change and like wildfires. You just be like, fire from heaven, like, you know, like it just happened, and people would start worshiping the fire from heaven. But like, this is literally what happened, and like Luke said, like, you know, that's not something you can necessarily, you can't control it like in any way. Like, you know, the best thing you can do is try your best to predict and try your best to model, and, you know, make sure you're able to like contain as best as you can. It's more being prepared for like an instant reaction and the best type of reaction, as opposed to, like, you know, preventing it or, like, you know, not making it happen. And I guess the reason why I wanted to highlight that was because like the X bellwether like application greatest inventions is something that can help with that. But the other thing, like, I guess that would be relevant to this was, I guess the biggest use case for me, when we're speaking about it, and I know Luke talked about it from watching the episode, was like the insurance claims, and like, you know, kind of how that would affect that, and like kind of where people would live and things like that. And
the lack of insurance claims,
yes,
because a lot of them were no longer covered.
yeah, and that's why I'm bringing this topic specifically. So I think two things have come out, just from a like a social, like a responsibility, government responsibility and kind of economic responsibility from these fires. Is one, the lack of preparedness for of the LA fire department. Apparently there's a lot of fire hydrants, and obviously like this is just from me like reading, like, you know, news stories. So like this is not a first party reporting. Okay, this is third party, and we can share some of the articles that I've been reading. Not having the
I
water.
know exactly what you're about to say.
What?
Actually, no, you just say it.
Yeah, like I was like, I don't know what I'm about to say, but
So what just happened is our Sony camera turned off, and that this is during the time when I didn't realize that it was off. I could show you guys in our main timeline that we had initially started over here. There's that gap. Oh, and that gap is actually our Fuji gap is. Oh no, sorry, this is not at the same point. So 2842. So we're back here. So we're just about there. And as you can see, there's a big gap. So we don't have any angles on Luke other than in the main one. So we're gonna have to go from Fuji to this whenever Luke talks. That's the compromise, at least.
I actually don't know what you're about to say.
But yeah, I know, like, just the waters, that was one, and then the second is like the insurance claims and the lack of insurance. Like, just as a fact that you could buy a house without insurance, or buy a house with insurance and have that insurance canceled, is mind-boggling to me. And apparently this has been what has been happening in LA, like over the past like 18 months to 24 months, the past 2 years.
I read somewhere else actually that insurance companies are dropping their clients since 2019. Since 2019, they've been steadily dropping. I think what, like, over 80% of the coverages have been dropped.
Yeah,
since 2019.
Like,
from 2019 to like 2023, and then I think in the past year there was another big surge.
And just to explain what this means really in like layman terms is, I buy a house in an area, I get insurance for that area. Like, I pay whatever premiums it is depending on
for how many years.
Like, yeah, I don't know. For you get
so there was another big
surge. And just to explain what this means really in like layman terms is, I buy a house in an area, I get insurance for that area. Like, I pay whatever premiums it is depending on
for how many.
Are you kidding me?
For how many years?
Like, yeah, For you get insurance for
is
years.
for 1 year.
No, but I
yeah,
mean,
it's
like,
for 1
like a lot of these policies that were canceled, like people have been paying those
They've
policies.
been paying these policies for
fucking,
years.
Yep.
Like, people didn't just start living in LA like 2
Yeah.
years ago, right? And over the past, like since 2019, like Arya is noting, obviously we've been seeing like a more increase in climate disasters. And your insurance provider comes to tell you, hey, your house is in an extremely risky area. And we think some shit is gonna happen. And because of that, we can't insure you anymore. But yeah, like, like,
Good luck.
Good luck.
I like how you said it for layman's terms.
But yeah, like, like,
Good luck.
Good luck.
I like how you said it for layman's terms. Like, no, because we were describing it is as straightforward and simple as it sounds. It's just unbelievable because it's crazy.
Like,
fucking crazy.
Can you imagine? Like, the literal point of insurance is to have something cover you for when things go wrong, and the insurance is like, oh wow, like we think there's a very, very high probability things will go wrong, and we can't cover you. But
yeah, because it's
good
like,
luck. You have a beautiful house, though. We just won't. And that's been going on for the past 3-4 years. And so like the knock-on effects is like a lot of people's whose houses are getting raised, like there's no insurance. Like they didn't have insurance, and it's like blaming less the government now on some people, like moving here, like because I'm an immigrant, came here a couple years ago, and like starting to live in like proper apartment buildings, like I found out how important it was, like especially moving to Toronto, like a landlord isn't even gonna look at you if you don't have insurance.
Yeah.
And now I'm just thinking like wait, what? Like how has this been allowed to happen?
that it's a great question, man, because it's like to me, it's like insurance policies change, but those changes are almost always a reflection of something that the person has done. So like if you think about car insurance or health insurance, right? Like your health insurance claims and things like that change depending on things that you've done. Like if you pick out the bad habit, like you start smoking or drinking more, like that's going to affect your health insurance.
Yep.
If you get an accident, you get a speeding ticket, that's going to affect your car insurance, right? But like this would be the equivalent of like if in car insurance they were like, hey, we did this really deep analysis and we determined that hatchbacks are just like super dangerous. So now even though you paid like for the past like 10 years on your car insurance policy, this is voided. Or even worse, they tell you that after you get into an accident, and then you're like, hey, I'm claiming the insurance. And they're like, oh, by the way, you actually weren't covered as of like a year ago.
Okay. So technically, they do need to give 75 days notice when they cancel.
Oh, okay.
So at least, thank goodness, like they tell you that they're canceling
75 days
it.
notice.
But like
the real issue here is we don't read properly what we're signing, right?
Yeah.
All of these insurance companies and the contracts, they'll have clauses in it, which basically allows them to cancel at their discretion.
At their discretion.
We like your contracts that you sign with your clients, they have the same thing. Your contracts that you sign with your clients, they have the same thing. The issuer of the contract generally reserves the right to cancel it at any time unless otherwise discussed.
Yeah, but there is like a liability clause, which I have been in some negotiations where I was like, oh, $1 million liability. Well, our deal isn't worth $1 million. So I'm like, why the fuck are we doing it? So like, yes, like
the
this
exact same conversation. So like, don't ask me questions I don't know the answer to, please.
Yeah, shout out to them. But like, just more for the fact that, like, obviously, like, I think, like, we think it is becoming, like, more prevalent, and people that live in coastal areas. I think last week we were discussing Florida. I know Luke was mentioning.
Sony camera just came back on.
Luke thinks Florida and California are the same thing, but like we love Luke, so. Like,
wait, hold on a second. Tangent while we unpack this. You think Florida and
no, like not like they're in the same place. Like
okay,
he just mixes them up.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Just like they have like a similar vibe. And
when I'm recording the pod, when I realize that a camera needs to like turn on and off for like a break, it just happened with the Fuji here.
Wait, hold on a second.
like LA,
but
your car.
Trying everything in their effort.
We don't
claim to things
back same. Wait, hold on a second.
Okay, it's very
Tangent
brief.
while we unpack this. You think Florida and
no, like not like they're in the same place. Like
right there. So I will try to do that turn on and off right when the speaker is not on camera. So right now Delapo's not talking, so that's when I would turn it off.
It just mixes them up.
Yeah.
Then he just threw in that ad lib there. Then I guess I missed that, but it's okay because it comes right back on. And it was a small enough ad lib that it didn't really need an angle to
Wait. Hold on
show.
a second. Tangent. While we unpack this,
Right.
you think Florida and
It
No,
was a
like not
mistake.
like
It was
they're
a
in the
mistake.
same place.
No.
oh,
Like
okay.
He just mixes them up.
Oh, okay.
just like they have like a similar vibe in some
Oh, okay,
cases,
okay,
and
okay.
you know, like
Can we
Yeah, I
give him
guess
an
like
angle?
one's like incredibly redneck and one's incredibly hipster.
Yeah.
You know
So
what I
they're
mean? It's
nothing
like
alike.
it's like the same spectrum, but like on two different ends of it. Really,
Yeah.
that
No,
makes
this is-
sense.
Yeah.
I'm
I don't even know
teasing.
why. I think I'm
That's
just
the
comparing
relation.
like Miami with like LA sometimes.
I mean, it's
Nothing
like two.
alike.
It's like the same spectrum, but like on two different ends of it. Really,
Yeah.
that
No,
makes
this is-
sense.
Yeah.
I'm
I don't even know
teasing.
why. I think I'm
That's
just
the
comparing
relation.
like Miami with like LA sometimes.
Yeah,
I don't
which is
know.
fair.
Like
Which
But
is fair, yeah.
also, this hurricane season that happened, there was a lot of turmoil that happened in Los Angeles and the
Yes,
little
yeah.
dingaling that we call Tampa Bay and
Yes.
Orlando and Miami and all of that. And their insurance, I didn't see a lot of reports about their insurance policies canceling on them, but there was a lot of buzz about reinsurance, insurance companies
yes.
not being able to cover themselves, previous natural disasters that happened that are now happening in bigger frequency. Insurance companies have gone solvent and claimed bankruptcy. So I see why this is a concern for them. It sucks that we bear the brunt end of that as people.
Yeah.
Because I mean we have to live in these conditions.
No,
And,
absolutely.
you know, sure, I get it. The world is changing, but people are still living in the conditions. Like
Yeah.
it's changing for us as well. Why are we not able to be covered? Why are we not beholden to that?
Yeah. And again, I think one thing that we discussed is like real estate and your homes is your primary wealth, like as like a member of the middle class. Like
Yeah, absolutely.
like a lot of the wealth of a lot of families is in their homes. And like imagine like all your wealth being uninsured and then an act of God. Fire from
Yeah.
the sky like
Boom, welfare.
raises that and
All right, I'm gonna take a quick break there because my stomach is asking for food. So I will be right back. Alrighty, we are back. I just ordered some General Tao chicken with steamed rice from the Guyanese Chinese fusion place across my place. It was yum. Okay, so jumping back into it, I forget where we were, so let's just review the last few cuts.
Two different ends of it, really.
Yeah,
That
no,
makes
this is-
sense.
Yeah.
I'm
I don't even know
teasing.
why. I think I'm
That's
just
the
comparing
relation.
like Miami with like LA sometimes.
Yeah,
I don't
which is
know.
fair.
Like
Which
But
is fair, yeah.
also, this hurricane season that happened, there was a lot of turmoil that happened in Los Angeles and the little dingaling
If you need to fast forward, just click L.
that we call Tampa Bay and
Yes.
Orlando and Miami and all that. And their insurance, I didn't see a lot of reports about their insurance policies canceling on them, but there was a lot of buzz about insurance companies being
While this fast forward is happening, I'm just looking at the level.
it sucks that beholden to that.
Yeah. And again, I think one thing that we discussed is like real estate and your homes is your primary wealth, like as like a member of the middle class. Like,
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
a lot of the wealth of a lot of families is in their homes. And like imagine like all your wealth being uninsured and then an act of God, fire from the sky, like
Boom,
raises that and like what happens to you and your family. And so like not really just posing the question, just kind of wanted to raise a little bit of awareness to what was going on. I don't know, like Canada, do we really have too many coastal communities? I'm not too
We
sure.
don't really have a lot of natural disasters in general, right?
We don't. So like, you know, like we're just grateful for that. But like, please, like, you know, people like look into your insurance, like make sure you understand where you're buying real estate. Like, you know what I mean? Like, obviously I mentioned like a lot of this was affected by like rich people and
Yeah.
like I'm sure like, you know, much smarter than myself. And
I'm sure
a
they'll
lot
be
of
able
us.
to bounce
Like,
back.
yeah, they'll be able to bounce back, but just for like, you know, the normies and like everybody else, please just make sure you understand like the area that you're living in, like what kind of disasters, like, you know, even if it's not fire from heaven, it could be a tree branch hitting your car.
Which
like,
is
you know,
exactly
yeah.
what happened to me.
Yeah, and like you didn't get covered. So like, you know, just kind of understanding the dynamics of these things and like I don't even know what to think of it. I know like Luke wanted to talk through if insurance was evil. I don't even understand the fuck these insurance companies are doing and like how they're getting
Well-
away with this. But like It's just insane.
Is insurance an inherently evil industry, you think?
No, it's not. It's just like it's just like a lot of the negatives of insurance are just like when you like put it onto paper, it looks so bad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when you talk about like the negative, when you like put it onto paper, it looks so bad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when you talk about like the negatives of insurance, like people be bad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Bad was so bad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Looks so bad.
Yeah.
So bad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when you talk about like the negatives of insurance, like people being denied like life-saving drugs or like, you know, like you paying a long time for a policy that's supposed to protect something and then the insurance company trying everything in their effort to prove that you are the one that's guilty, even though you're, you know what I mean? Like, and sure, like obviously it's even though you're, you know what I mean? Like, and sure, like obviously it's an inherently like necessary thing. I think you know what I mean? Like, and sure, like obviously it's an inherently like necessary thing. I think something else that's interesting to bring up is like America and Canada, right? Like we're kind of like, we're new countries. And it's like, when you think about like a lot of these industries, like they are not as mature as those same industries in other countries. So like, for example, like the owner of AG1, before he was,
okay, Luke is mentioning AG1. I have no idea who that is. And most of the viewers probably don't know what that is either, so I'm gonna leave a marker. I'm gonna click M twice and change it to red. That's gonna be all my graphic stuff. Also gonna leave a note saying MG1. I'll search that later. Put a little screenshot.
Like the owner of AG1, before he was, he created AG1 in America, and this is why like America is the land of, you know, the land of opportunity, because like anyone. America, and this is why like America is the land of, you know, the land of you know, the land of opportunity, because like anyone can come here and make it, right? Like America is the land of, you know, land of, you know,
cut the so it doesn't seem like it's as long.
The land of opportunity, because like anyone can come here and make it, right? Like this guy was like criminally like charged in New Zealand because he was doing reinsurance and he was doing buying to own. So like a lot of these scams like have actually existed overseas like so long ago, right? Like a lot of these policies have existed, like societies have had things like this, and then those people, it just stops working there, and then they bring it to America, and then they tie a new bow on it, they put a new spin on it. America also has so many new financial instruments, so it's like getting money, you know, creating liquidity through like tons of different options. Like taking in like a lot of countries, the only way for you to get capital is like, you know, someone with money. Like as a poor person, you're not even gonna be able to go to the bank and be like, yo, let me get like $10,000. That's not like possible, right? So it's like the fact that in America you can get angel and investing, you can get crowdfunding, you can get loans, you can get all of these, even payday loans, like as sketchy as that is, right? Like there's options of cash that creates cash, kind of more opportunities for, not for scamming things, but it creates like opportunities for like not very thought through like things that get sold. You know what I mean? Like it's interesting. Like I feel like a lot of these like super legacy industries, like maybe in like 50 years, we're gonna look back on these things and be like, that was kind of wild, you know, like that we did that. I don't know though, because it's like wild, you know, like that we did that. I don't know though, because it's like
I don't think these yeahs are good for a cut, so I'm just gonna leave.
I don't know though, because it's like America is also the most prosperous country right now, right? So it's kind of hard to.
Yeah, you know, there's two sides to every coin.
Kind of hard to.
Yeah, you know, there's two sides to every coin. It's like the reason, like because of all that liquidity, you get all the innovation, but because of all that liquidity, you also get all the scams and all the not well thought through ideas. And
I mean, it's like the pulls and the drawbacks of a free market.
Yeah, for free, exactly.
Like if you want to be able to do stuff, I mean, you will need regulation as well. I was gonna ask about insurance. Like, do you guys think
okay, let's go back a bit. A bit more.
All the scams and all the not well thought through ideas. And
I mean, it's like the pulls and the drawbacks of a free market.
Yeah, for free, exactly.
Like if you want to be able to do stuff, I mean, you will need regulation as well. I was gonna ask about insurance. Like, do you guys think insurance has helped more people than it's screwed over?
I think so.
I would say so. Yeah.
insurance has helped more people than it's screwed over?
I think so.
I would say so, yeah.
I think so.
I would say so, yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think like a point I was making. I think so.
Yeah. I would say so, yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think like. I think so.
Yeah.
I think like a point.
Little bit.
Yeah.
I think like. So
Yeah.
I think like a point I was making earlier was like, like insurance is a form of capital. So like when Luke mentions like
Okay.
the various ways liquidity can be made available, like here, like insurance, like all of our insurance premiums are being stored in a bank account. And those like the bank, like as anybody that has a decent amount of money knows, it's like you don't just keep money sitting in a bank account. Like you put that money towards like a savings account to earn interest. Put that money towards like bonds or like a GIC, or you can invest that money in the stock market. Or if you're extremely like like if you have a high risk appetite, you can invest in like a startup or a company. And so like yes, insurance, like they don't want to pay policyholders, they don't want to do that, but they also capitalize the economy. And this is just one way that they benefit that I think is a mass like a lot of insurance funds, a lot of insurance invests in like Canadian bonds. You get what I mean? Which helps capitalize our government. Like I'm sure they invest in Canadian stock market, which helps to capitalize like like our companies, which helps to give. You get what I mean? Like stuff. So like stuff like that. That's kind of like a secondary.
Yeah, that's like more indirect.
Yeah, that's more indirect.
People do rely on insurance to protect their stuff.
Yes,
because I was gonna say even on that front, right? More indirect.
Yeah, that's more indirect.
People do rely on insurance to protect their stuff.
Yes,
because I was gonna say even on that front, right? Like that's like more indirect.
Yeah, that's more stuff like that. That's kind of like a secondary.
Yeah, that's like more indirect.
Yeah, that's more indirect.
People do rely on insurance to protect their stuff.
Yes,
because I was gonna say even on that front, right? Like people who just like have car insurance and stuff, I would bet like more often than not, like that's gonna benefit.
They do get their payouts. Yeah.
Like I'm thinking about all the like for example. Like I'm thinking about all the like for example, like a common criticism is like, oh, insurance is super high for young people, right? But imagine like you're a 16, 17-year-old and you get into a car accident. It's like if you don't have insurance, how are you like your life is over, man. Like
done.
Like you're not going to university. Your life is over, man. Like life is over, man. Like
done.
Like you're not going to over, man. Like
done.
Like you're not going to university.
Like done.
Like you're not going to university. Like how are you supposed to pay that off? Right?
Yeah.
It's crazy, and it's like insurance. Yeah, it'll protect that person. Sure, they might have to pay a higher premium for the rest of their lives, but in some ways, right, it's better than having to pay that lump sum, right?
Yeah,
so
I have a friend who's been in an accident that was not his.
Than having to pay that lump sum, right?
Yeah,
so
I have a friend who's been in an accident that was not his fault, and yeah, he was able to get his insurance payout. It was literally a hiccup in his. Don't get me wrong, it was stressful. But it was like a stressful month as opposed to a stressful 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Where he was able to get the payment back and he was able to get a new car and use the money to do other stupid shit that young people do with money in lumps. Yeah. But yeah, no, just kind of wanted to highlight that and highlight Ex-Bellwether and something like people should be looking towards.
So is there an inherently evil industry, you think?
I don't know. Like I don't know. Some industries are probably like insurance is an interesting one to bring up because that's more of like a perception based thing. Like I was actually gonna say like like insurance is an interesting one to bring up because that's more of like a perception based thing. Like I was actually gonna say like when you were breaking down the layman's terms of the stuff in California, I'm like in my layman's term, the CEO for whoever insured those houses. Watch your back, bro. That's all I have to say.
I mean, we know there's been a recent target on the back of CEOs in the US.
Oh, in this new climate,
we should be careful. We're not condoning anything.
You're right. Please be careful and please.
And these are rich people too, so it's like I don't know.
Don't kill people you disagree with.
Yes, that's not the way to do things. That's not the way to do things.
Dude, so it's like I don't know.
Don't kill people you disagree with.
Yes, that's not the way to do things.
Dude, so
kill people you disagree with.
Yes, that's not the way to do things. That's not the way to do things.
Yeah, but I don't know. Like
Don't kill people you disagree with.
Yes, that's not the way to do things. That's not the way to do things.
Yeah, but I don't know. Like, there's definitely industries that can probably be seen as inherently evil, right? Like, for one, like I was thinking about this, like advertising can actually be seen as inherently evil, like the industry I work in.
Psyop.
About this, like advertising can actually be seen as inherently evil, like the industry I work. Actually be seen as inherently evil, like the industry I work in.
Psyop.
Because when you think about it, right? Like, seen as inherently evil, like the industry I work in.
Psyop.
Because when you think about it, right, like advertising. Well, it's like
no, this is not government. This is.
Well, it's like
this is not government. This is us psyoping ourselves.
Because it's like when I think about like what the utility of marketing and advertising is, it's like it's to create demand for things, and it's like that's not a good thing. You know, like just the idea of creating demand is not inherently good, and marketing is used throughout history.
Awesome.
No, but like marketing is used throughout history to do a lot of extremely damaging things. For example, propaganda, right?
That's
like that's one aspect of marketing. Of creating demand is not inherently good, and marketing is used throughout history.
Awesome.
No, but like marketing is used throughout good, and marketing is used throughout history.
Awesome.
No, but like marketing is used throughout history to do a lot of extremely damaging things. For example, propaganda, right?
That's
like that's one aspect of marketing. The other thing is like that's one aspect of marketing. The other thing is like like for example, like pricing in luxury goods and things like that, right? Like why is a certain vodka or why is a certain thing more expensive? Or in the most popular one is like, why are name brand drugs more expensive than non-name brand drugs? That's branding, that's perception. Like marketing actually has a huge amount to play in pricing as well, because marketing sets the, let's say, position of the company, which also directly relates to the pricing. Other things like, you know, like marketing companies were behind cigarettes, and like marketing companies are behind our current like addiction to sugar with like, because I think I was telling you guys, when basically like I forgot exactly what happened, but Ogilvy was like one of the people involved in this. Like the US basically banned like advertising for, like in North America, they banned advertising for tobacco products. They were like, they're inherently harmful. You're not allowed to like publish, like, you know, like you're not allowed to do TV spots. You're not allowed to do newsletters. So a lot of these companies that used to do big tobacco went to Procter and Gamble and the consumer good companies. So they went to like the soda companies, you know, the snack companies, things like that. Like basically like the idea of like, how do you make something that, because at that time, you have to remember, like at that time, like the idea of eating some of these things, they were like, that's crazy. Like this is very sweet, or like it's very like, so like you had to kind of position these differently. And like, that's why, you know, like, you know, for example, like, you know how you're like, oh, it's crazy that people will just heat up pizza rolls and eat that as a meal.
Yeah.
That's because of like this whole movement. You know what I mean? Like,
that's crazy.
Like, dude, like,
and some will just heat up pizza rolls and eat that as a meal.
Yeah.
That's because of like this whole movement. You know what I mean? Like,
that's crazy.
Like, dude, like,
and some people, like my parents would think that's crazy. Like, why would you heat up like a giant bag of frozen
like,
kind of?
Wait,
like,
no. Why do you?
Yeah.
That's because of like this whole movement. You know what I mean?
That's
like,
crazy.
I love how offended Arya is.
Like, dude, like,
and some people, like my parents would think that's crazy. Like, why would you heat up like a giant bag of frozen
like,
kind of?
Wait,
like,
no. Why do you think it's crazy? You
go get a pizza.
There's Jamaican patties in your veins.
Okay, what Jamaican patties and pizza rolls.
Like a frozen
like,
kind of.
Wait,
like,
no. Why do you think it's crazy?
Go get a pizza.
There's Jamaican patties in your veins.
Okay, what Jamaican patties and pizza rolls, two different things.
Yeah, I think Jamaican patties are a higher tier than pizza.
Sure, but both frozen with meat inside of dough.
Okay.
One's like
so like,
well, you know what I mean?
do you think if I had the opportunity to have a Jamaican, like fresh Jamaican patties, like made like right outside my house, like I wouldn't go and pay for that?
Yeah, I'm sure if there was pizza rolls that were fresh
I don't
made
think it's
outside
the
the house.
rolls are a fucking American invention.
I don't think it's
like,
the frozenness that's the issue.
Like, yeah, it's fucking American invention.
I don't think it's
like,
the frozenness that's the issue.
Like, yeah, it's the fact that there's a pizza.
I thought you were getting upset about the frozen.
No, it's not the frozen. It's the fact that there's a pizza that's awesome and it's great. And someone was like, hey, why don't we roll this up, create a whole new class of things, and then start marketing that pizza roll? Because
you can pop it like a pill.
Look at that. Yeah, there we go. Victim number one.
Someone at like probably at Procter and Gamble figured out like, you know, like people like eating foods that they can hold in their hands.
Hey man, pizza rolls, banger.
Oh, I'm
do that again 10 times over, please. Whatever you can.
Do you like pizza rolls?
I was just gonna say they're probably like heavy UPF, like ultra processed.
Oh yeah.
Thank you for bringing some more sanity.
Half
UPF, MSG, banger. Banger big time.
It'll sell.
Yeah, I was gonna say, man, like
bring back lard, bring back trans fats, please.
Totally different like topic, but it's like, dude, there's so much negative stigma on like Chinese food and a lot of ethnic foods because of MSG. But like we don't put like Red 40 and like all these other crazy things in there. Like MSG is just like, you know, like it's bad for cholesterol, I guess.
Yeah, like
but
fucking
it's like,
go work out.
You know what I mean? Like it's not. Yeah, exactly.
So is butter.
Yeah. What are we doing? Yeah.
No. Sorry, it's because never.
Yeah. Anyway, so one thing I wanted to kind of quickly chat about as well, just because like the industry thing, I still want. Bad for cholesterol, I guess.
Yeah, like
but
fucking
it's like,
go work out.
You know what I mean? Like it's not. Yeah, exactly.
So is butter.
Yeah. What are we doing? Yeah.
No.
Sorry, it's because never.
Yeah. Anyway, so one thing I wanted to kind of quickly chat about as well, just because like the industry thing, I still want to talk about that, but like I actually didn't research that super well. But one of the things I want to talk about was like perception on immigration, right? So like you know, like earlier we were talking about the U.S. and I think 2024 was like a year of extreme global events. Like, you know what I mean? Like lots of things happened around the world, like whether it was Sudan, you know, like Gaza
was big. I kind of forgot about that.
Yeah, Sudan, you know, like.
Sudan was big. I kind of forgot about that.
Yeah, you know, like
people that were affected. Yeah.
Yes, there were like huge movements, like just tons of major things happening all around the world. And I think one thing I was thinking about recently was like, and I think the thing that brought this topic was I joined Twitter recently, and recently, and
this is the first time the three of us have had a group chat on a social media platform.
Yeah,
in about 2-3 years. Yeah,
we
had Messenger.
We used to have Instagram. We used to have Instagram, but
Messenger, man. Sorry, Zuck. My fault. I didn't mean
3 years. Yeah.
Social media platform.
Yeah,
in about 2-3 years. Yeah, we had Messenger.
We used to have Instagram. We used to have Instagram, but
Messenger, man. Sorry, Zuck. My fault. I didn't mean to be mean.
That's also like a big fall from grace. Messenger used to be like that. Used to be the spot
when people used Facebook Messenger.
Yeah, that used to be the spot. Thing. Yeah, but like no longer. Yeah. So immigration, right? Like I was thinking, like growing up, always thought that was like a positive thing. Like when I first moved to Canada,
Fuji camera just went off. I think it'll come back on in a few seconds.
Generally, I thought it was like really awesome, you know, like all the multiculturalism and everything. So it seems like nowadays, like I log on to Twitter, first of all, like we know, like I'm generally aware of like the immigration, let's say, opinion in North America, because it's like, you know, we live in Toronto, pretty populous city, very, very multicultural. We've been to the US, we have friends in the US. I didn't know personally there was a lot of tension in Europe, and if anything more so than in North America with about immigration. Like, and for them, I think it's more related to refugees. So it's like when I joined Twitter, my feed started to be filled with like these like clips from Germany and stuff, where like there were refugees attacking like just like old people, like stealing all their shit and stuff, and like running off, or like there was a woman walking and this guy just like socked her out of nowhere. I was like, what is going on? And then like you look at like all the retweets and the replies, and this is probably why I'm getting more of them, because I'm looking at the comments and stuff.
Absolutely.
It's like, yeah, like every one of the look at like all the retweets and the replies, and this is probably why I'm getting more of them, because I'm looking at the comments and stuff.
Absolutely.
Like, yeah, like every one of the comments is like, oh, we need mass deportation, and I'm like, this is crazy, because I see this on SixBuzz, and I'm like, SixBuzz is like echo chamber, people are crazy, they say whatever they want. But then I'm also seeing this in Europe, which so it started to lead me to like do a little bit of an investigation. So I was basically like asking GPT to analyze like different articles from 10 years ago, and look for things like the words like refugee, immigrant, immigration, etc., and then look for adjacent adjectives, and then see like if the adjectives are positive or negative. And what I found was like apparently both North America and Europe 10 years ago we were very, very favorable of immigration. North America, I think America was saying like the U.S. is still less for immigration throughout this 10-year period than Canada. But like they're saying like in very recent history, like things have changed in Canada due primarily to the housing crisis and some of the visa issues. And then in Europe, like apparently like it's gone like critical mass terrible.
Really?
Like they don't want like critical mass terrible.
Really?
Like they don't want like countries are like citizens are basically putting pressures on their governments to be like change policies when it comes to like refugees and things like that. The country needs to be ways of like basically they're saying there's no real way of keeping these refugees accountable in their countries, right? It's like they don't necessarily have like jobs and things like that. So it's like what are the consequences in terms of like
yeah, what's
like how
how do you yeah, what's
like how do you do that?
incentivize
And you
good
can't deport them
behavior
back
and like punish bad behavior kind of thing.
Well, Europe is a tough one because
Yeah, what's
like how do you in terms of like
yeah, what's
like how do you do that?
incentivize
And you
good
can't deport them
behavior
back
and like punish bad behavior kind of thing.
well, Europe is a tough one because they're close to all these countries that need refugee status, right? So it's easier for them to get there. There's also a big reason why it's getting tougher in Europe is a lot of the port towns and cities that people are kind of spilling into and coming into, they're not necessarily leaving them. And those port cities and towns are smaller than the big cities and towns. So it does feel a little too. They're not necessarily leaving them. And those port cities and towns are smaller than the big cities and towns. So it does feel a little overrun at times. And you do see videos, you do see reports of it and everything like that. Like, I don't know what they're going to do in Europe. I'm a little bit more removed from that side of the world than I am here. But it's kind of a space issue at that point. Like their countries are not as far spread out as ours, where we can build outwards and you know have more infrastructure going on there. Their infrastructure is essentially set. The room for development is slightly less in Europe than it is in North America.
Is it an infrastructure discussion? No, because
it's not right now, but it will have to be.
It will eventually. Yes.
And that's what people are concerned about. They're like, where are these people going to live? Where are we going to hold them? How are we going to integrate them into society? And then that begs the question of, okay, well, are we even able to do this in a small place?
So that was the aspect that that's like you used the word there that I thought that I think is like the core of this issue, which is integration. Because like when you talk about like what happens when you bring a group of people who have a fundamentally different belief in life, and it's hard to say that they're wrong. You can just say that it doesn't fit well in this society. Like for example, like let's say like again, this is probably not the actual case. This is just what's being highlighted on social media. A lot of these refugees come from like a you know an Arab background, right? Like they're Muslim. They have certain beliefs about you know perhaps women that were allowed in their countries and was upheld. And it's not their fault either, right? Like they grew up in the society, they grew up with these customs, so they're used to a certain let's say lifestyle. Like not removing all judgment from what is right or wrong for both lifestyles. They're used to something in you know Denmark, in Italy, in Germany. They're used to a different style of lifestyle. Now you're integrating both groups. One is a refugee status. One group live there. You know what I mean? And it's like who has more right? Because it's like it's not that I don't empathize with the refugees. I feel it from the you know the citizen standpoint, right? Where it's kind of like, well, I'm not doing anything wrong. I was raised here, and now all of a sudden, like my uncle has like a chance of getting jumped. You know, where like my sister is like getting groped, or you know what I mean? Like
maybe we can split this conversation off a little bit, right? Because the thing that's happening in Europe is very different than the thing that's happening here, right? Because refugees are not the same as immigrants.
Yes.
And that fundamentally changes the way people think about them.
It's a tougher topic.
If you ask me, I think immigration is a wonderful thing, right? And I think most people that you ask, if you really have a good, honest, in-depth conversation, the conclusion that they'll draw is that immigration is a good thing. We all benefit from immigration in one way or another. People come to the country, they work, you get talent from different parts of the country, they work, you contribute, you build a society, right? The question is, how do you make this happen, right? And that's kind of the big dilemma that like Canada's facing, for example, where it's like, okay, your population has increased by 25% more, you know what I mean, in a span of 10 years. You go from 30 to 40 million, like nothing. And whether this and that has the effects of that have no bearing on whether immigration is good or bad. Right? It's like the volume of it, and is the country able to maintain that and handle it, right? And there might not have been enough planning on that end, or people feel like there wasn't enough planning on that end, and they have nowhere to place their anger but on the root issue of immigration. And then I think when anger comes into it, we're no longer able to have a good conversation. So I think we can still recognize immigration is a good thing. That's my personal opinion. But a lot of the reason why people are
This is so funny. The law, like you look for the past 10 seconds. It's like contemplating.
But a lot of the reason why people are upset with immigration now is not, in my opinion, again, because they inherently think immigration is bad, but because they are worried about their way of life being threatened. And I think that's what most people in the country are ultimately worried about when it comes down to it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Life being threatened. And I think that's what most people in a country are ultimately worried about when it comes down to it.
Yeah.
Could be a little sooner.
Yeah.
Well, right there. Okay.
Yeah.
Or the hand movement. Boom.
Yeah.
Wow. This is, I feel like, obviously I was thinking about this topic, but listening to both of your perspectives, this has gone, like, you know, a lot deeper, a little bit, at least in terms of the way I'm looking at it, right? Because one, like the refugee situation, and I'm just
The Sony camera went off for like I turned it off because it went off with Luke. Now it's because Luke definitely had a talking piece. Arya definitely had a talking piece. Now it's G's turn, so can turn the Sony off.
a little bit, at least in terms of the way I'm looking at it, right? Because one, like the refugee situation, and I'm just gonna highlight that specifically for a moment. Like that's that's a thing in itself.
That's incredibly complicated. That's incredibly complicated.
So
that's incredibly complicated.
It's incredibly complex and like fuck. It's incredibly. It's incredibly complex and like fuck, like like just to refugees, like all my empathy with you, like I can understand like the struggles of that, and to people like that have their own countries, like yeah, like these are like displaced people, like they're different from immigrants, like Arya said, like immigrants, like they planned for this and like they chose that versus like refugees that are just trying to scramble, and so that is a very, very delicate situation that I don't wish on any leader. Like, good luck, Europe. Like, you're on your own. Like, all I can say is like, good luck to that. And moving to the immigration thing, obviously, I think of the three of us, I'm the most recent immigrant here.
I'm not an immigrant for anyone confused.
Yeah,
these two are immigrants.
Yeah, so we're.
When he points to these two,
I'm not an immigrant for anyone confused.
Yeah,
these two are immigrants.
Yeah, so we're whatever. Thank you for clarifying that. Arya's born.
So we can like put it out. If you want to analyze our responses, call one of us racist. You can call it. You
know who's racist. Yeah, like immigration. Yes, like I don't know, good, bad, whatever. Immigration is something that's happened, something that will always continue to happen.
Yeah,
and it's really important to kind of understand, I guess, people's goals and people's incentives versus just like what is happening, and so. I really resonate with what Arya shared in terms of, at the end of the day, people in host countries just don't want their way of life threatened. Yeah. And like, a way of life being threatened is like, that's an existential threat to a lot of people.
It's your identity.
That's the word I'm looking at. Identity. It really is your identity. It's the way of life. It's the way you've been living. And so like when that comes into question, like, a lot of behaviors, tend to like show, and those might not be positive. Those might not be negative. I don't know. Just behaviors tend to show. So that's one part. And then there's obviously the immigrants themselves. Immigrants, it's certainly, the volume has increased. The entitlement has also increased. As an immigrant myself, like I won't lie to you. The entitlement where, hey, I go to the entitlement has also increased as an immigrant myself. Like I won't lie to you. The entitlement where, hey, I go to a certain, it's one of those things where, as an immigrant, when you're choosing where you're going to land, that's one of the things that you look into. Which place has more entitlements for me? Which place is going to be more accommodating for me? That you go into. And I guess one of the things I want to highlight is, like with the immigration crisis, I don't know if it's a wealth disparity or if it's a developmental disparity or if it's a governmental disparity, but whatever that disparity is getting wider.
It's not wealth.
I don't know.
People immigrating here have money. Well, people immigrating here have money.
Yeah, that's why I said, like, I don't know if it's wealth, if it's developmental, I don't know what that disparity is, but it's getting wider, and that's one of the factors in which that is increasing the volume. Like, there's like more and more the places where you can do things are starting to, did I say shrink? Or like it's starting to get concentrated. I won't say shrink, and that's like a factor that's like like it could be education, it could be job, like whatever it is. I don't know. I don't want to go into that, but like just wanted to highlight like that's a thing, right? That's one. What's going on in the countries where, because a lot of these immigrants are, like Luke mentioned, like they're like, if it's not Arab, it's Southeast Asian. If it's not Southeast Asian, it's African. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's concentrated. Like you go to the immigration list for like the countries receiving most of the immigrants, and you can literally like
concentrated based off of population, really.
Population.
The parts of the world where there's the most people will have the most immigrants as well.
Yes, and I'm saying those immigrants that are coming, you can pin, like you can like categorize them very well in terms of where they're coming from. Like you know what I mean? Like it's very easy to be like 20 to 10%, like the 20 to 10% of our coming from here. It's not as diversified as you think it is, right? So like that's something. And then in the host country, it's more about, and kind of a little bit of what I was mentioning. Like show me the incentives and I'll show you the behavior. I know back in the day, specifically in Canada, the way people were immigrating in Canada was a shining star because it was high skill immigration. You know what I mean? Like we were coming here to do some post, like doctorate or masters, whatever that is. Like
you were an engineer.
Like an engineer. Doctorate or masters, whatever that is. Like
you were an engineer.
Yeah, like an engineer. It's similar to the program that that's being discussed. The H-1B program, that's one. And then I remember, Luke, you were telling me about a visa in the U.S. that one of our mutual friends, your friend got, not our mutual friend got. But what was that? It was like the superstar visa. Like, what is it?
Yeah, like like they basically qualify for it because they got funding from a venture cap.
What was the name of that visa again?
I forgot the name. Yeah.
But some post, like doctorate or masters, whatever that is. Like
you were an engineer.
Yeah, like an engineer. It's similar to that is like
you were an engineer.
Yeah, like an engineer. It's similar to the program your friend got, not our mutual friend got. But what was that? It was like the superstar visa. Like what is it?
Yeah, like like they basically qualify for it because they got funding from a venture cap.
What was the name of that visa again?
I forgot the name, but yeah.
But basically, there's tiers of.
I'm gonna try to put a graphic in there. Super. I don't know.
Visas where you get because you're an outstanding individual. Like you've done something, like some like you've done something, like some successful research, gone funded by some people that really believe.
Oops.
You've done something like some successful research. You've done something like some successful research, gone funded by some people that really believe in your idea, and that qualifies you. And so there's different types of immigration. There's high skill immigration. Sorry,
that's like this much of immigration.
Beautiful.
Yeah. No, like 0.01.
No,
immigration.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
No,
like 0.01.
No, absolutely. and I'm just saying, show me the incentives, and I'll show you the behavior. Right? Like I don't think that type of immigration.
I get what you mean.
More people will have an issue. I don't think that type of immigration.
I get what you mean.
More people will have an issue with. I think what's happening. That type of immigration.
I get what you mean.
More people will have an issue with. I think what's happening right now is the people that are coming in, and like the way that they're living and the way that they're using things and their identity, their way of life, and kind of the behaviors that they're showcasing, like isn't being properly incentivized or de-incentivized or aligned or assimilated or integrated. Casing, like isn't being properly incentivized or de-incentivized or aligned or assimilated or integrated in a way.
That's tough too, right? You're talking about the specialized visas and everything. There's a reason it's this much of the population.
Just an example.
There's a reason things like that or the incentives for things like that, it's this much of the population because the actual people who have those skills in comparison to proportion is also this much of the population of the world, right? You just don't have that many people coming in. My parents came here as immigrants. They didn't have any special skills. It was very easy, actually, to become an immigrant. It's a lot harder now, ironically enough. Especially in the past 10 years, a lot harder than it was 20 years ago, 30 years ago, but more people are doing it. It's a policy thing at the end of the day.
But that kind of speaks to what Dee was talking about earlier, where it's like,
the end of the day.
But that kind of speaks to what Dee was talking about earlier, where it's like the places where there are, it's not about opportunities, it's about opportunities to scale, I think. And like those places are becoming less and less, like less of them exist. And I actually agree with what you're saying, where you're like, if an immigrant is coming into a country because they're a skilled individual and they come into that country to do that skilled thing, that is a successful immigration process where the integration is going to be smooth. But you might be making the point that, for example, like the criticism in Canada right now is that a lot of the immigrants came here on student visas. The schools are fake schools, and they just ended up staying here without actual visas and just working, right? And like that might be a misalignment of the immigration goal to the actual visas and just working, right? And like that might be a misalignment of the immigration goal to the results, because the goal was to bring in immigrants to, get educated, that had money, of the immigration goal to the results, because the goal was to bring in immigrants to, get educated, that had money, could help the economy here in Canada, set down roots that would benefit Canadians. But we actually attracted a group of people who needed help, kind of in a way, like they needed government support. And I don't know. Like, I'm not saying
is what I'm saying.
I'm more so saying like
there's a misalignment.
I don't know. Like, I'm not saying
is what I'm saying.
I'm more so saying like
there's a misalignment.
The highlight there is the misalignment.
That's exactly like, and I don't.
I don't know. Like, I'm not saying
is what I'm saying.
I'm more so saying like
there's a misalignment.
The highlight there is the misalignment.
Misalignment.
The highlight there is the misalignment.
That's exactly like, and I'm not saying like high skilled immigration is what I'm expecting.
It's
alignment of like that is an example of where immigration goals and immigration behaviors are aligned.
And it may be like with our parents, it was more so like
aligned.
And it may be like with our parents, it was more so like there's just not that many people here, and we need more people to fill jobs and to boost the economy. And that was probably the case with my parents, right? Like I don't think they immigrated here on like skilled immigrant. Definitely not my mom. Like maybe my dad did. But like,
why you gotta say like
skilled immigrant.
No.
Definitely not my mom. Like maybe my dad did, but like
Why you
Shout
gotta
out
say
to
it like
your
that,
mom.
bro?
no, it's
Jesus Christ.
no, it's just because like me. Sorry, context is like my parents.
One of these can be a group shot.
Maybe my dad did, but like
Why you
Shout
gotta say
out
it
to
like
your
that,
mom.
bro?
no, it's
This one.
Gotta say it like that, bro.
no, it's
Jesus Christ.
no, it's just because like me. No, it's just because like me. Sorry,
Okay, so one thing I will show you now is if you like a screenshot for the thumbnail, you'll go into Fusion. You'll right click on. No, it's not. Right click, grab still. Oh, I don't think it'll show you the overlay in OBS. I have to figure that out for next episode. But basically, you right click over the playback in the color grading tab. The very first option will say grab still. Nothing will pop up after that. You'll just go into gallery at the top left. You pull gallery, and this is your. Oh, that is your. Maybe it didn't. Oh, it did. Just grabbed. Okay, so it grabs like a little clip section of. Let me export this, and I'll do thumbnail. Put it into a folder. Access later. That is done.
Sorry, context is like my parents went to school in China, so neither of their bachelors was recognized. My dad has a master's in Singapore, which is why his degree was recognized because it was not a Chinese degree. But like, so anyway, like my mom definitely wouldn't have qualified as a skilled immigrant. Yeah,
I think if you bring skilled immigrants in at the scale that you bring regular immigrants in, you're gonna run into the same issues.
But my thing is, the question is, why are you bringing
regular immigrants in? You're gonna run into the same issues.
But my thing is, the question is, why?
To the same issues.
But my thing is, the question is, why are you bringing
In
regular
skilled-
immigrants in? Like, what is, like, if you're gonna bring regular unskilled immigrants in, there has to be an incentive in this host country. Let's say it's Canada. There has to be a reason why you're bringing those unskilled immigrants in, and the reason why there has to be a reason is because when they now come in, there has to be, like, you know, they can't just sit at home and not go to school. There has to be pathways. Do you get what I mean? For these people to be integrated into society, and that's a governmental job. Do you get what I mean?
There are.
Yeah, okay.
There are. You do need to qualify. You need to show a certain amount of money. You need to show a certain amount of job prospects. I had family who tried to immigrate here, went through the whole, I saw the entire application process. There's multiple streams. You can do an entrepreneurship visa. You can do just kind of a standard work visa, you know, to get in and applying for citizenship and becoming a full-blown like standard immigrant is different than the process to get in the country.
Yes.
You do that after you're already in the country. The reason you come into the country is a specific visa that you apply for, and those all have a specific purpose. So we're incentivizing. The issue is it's happening in a large volume, and when it happens in a large volume, things change at a very rapid pace, and it becomes a lot harder to control. It's a lot harder to assimilate 10 million people than it is 100,000.
but that's not.
To assimilate 10 million people than it is 100,000.
But that's not what happened here because we weren't trying to assimilate 10 million people. We were trying to issue 10 million student visas. And
10 million, not just students. 10 million is all encompassing. So all the immigrants that have come in the last like 10 years.
Like, okay, so specifically speaking to the problem that happened the last 4 years with the large injection of, you know, people coming in on student visas and staying here, especially in populous cities like Toronto, like that wasn't planned, right? Like the government probably expected a lot of those people to go back after university. And if they didn't go back, the reason they could stay is they found a really good job here.
They got a work visa now.
Yeah, but the reality is that a lot of them came. There wasn't even a university that they were going to. The school was a fake school issuing the visa through the proper government channels. Those people came, they knew relatives that ran restaurants and things like that. They started working lower than minimum wage jobs in those restaurants and they just stayed here. Those people are on our roads. They're in our healthcare system. They do all the benefits that we get to take advantage of, but they're not going through the proper channels, right? They're not paying the same amount of taxes on those jobs they're paying that they're working because they're working for their relative. They're not contributing to the housing system because they're not all going and like living the same way we are. We talked about your, you know, your girlfriend's ex-roommate and her situation with that person in Brampton. Like that's the housing system because they're not all going and like living the same way we are. We talked about your, you know, your girlfriend's ex-roommate and her situation with that person in Brampton. Like that's some of the ways they're living. Like that's not even contributing, let's say, to rent in most of Toronto, right? So it's like ex-roommate and her situation with that person in Brampton. Like that's some of the, let's say, to rent in most of Toronto, right? So it's like,
and it's lowering the standard. And it's lowering the standard.
Right? So it's like,
and it's lowering. And it's lowering.
So it's like,
and it's lowering the standard of like
the quality of life,
of all the quality of life and standard of living of everybody else there.
So this, and this was a super. And this was a super specific. Like, so I might have picked.
Lowering the supply.
Yeah,
but
this
we don't need to get over it. Immigration is. We don't need to get over it. Immigration is a complex.
It's a tricky topic. It's a tricky topic.
Yeah.
I ultimately think there's a way to do it and do it well.
Yeah.
But I think the button has been pressed so many times that you tend to lose control of a situation over time, and that's what we're seeing right now.
Yeah.
Right. It's like you've
lost control.
An injection of like 10 million people. No, but you don't build the homes for it. And you don't build the job infrastructure for it and you don't invest in it, you're going to have a problem. You're going to have a deficit of everything that you need to have a good quality of life. We still have a great quality of life, but I think people are a little frustrated because now we're starting to see the beginning of what these permanent effects are.
Yeah.
We're not even like touching the...
I was going to bring up a funny example, the conversation you had with your mom that ended up in an argument, like about crime. And, and you can say there's a correlation, a tiny correlation.
Sure, yeah.
Yes.
Again, you want to be careful, right? Like tiny. Correlation is not causation.
No,
right? So it's
not at all.
You know, there's a whole. I don't want to get into that. There's a whole bunch of reasons why crime is.
That was just to be funny.
Yeah,
sorry. You wanted to say something.
I'm sorry. Even just to conclude on like this specific immigration, because the thing, I don't even think the like the perpetrators are the, let's say, like the Indians moving here. The perpetrators are actually the fake schools.
Yes.
Like so the.
Yes.
Like schools.
Yes.
Like so the victims are actually some of these student migrants because they were promised something that wasn't the case. Like a lot of these people that like some of my clients who like know people in these situations, like what happened was like they were told this was like a fully legitimate school in North America, in Canada. There was a website for the school. There was pictures. There was fake photos of all the classrooms. Blah, blah, blah. And then imagine these people when they came here and like they were told this school is going to get them these jobs, and they come here and then they go. It's like a fucking office in a mall, right? Like. The victims aren't even the perpetrators are not even the immigrants themselves. It's the perpetrators. So you know what? The nice little full circle moment. That is a truly evil industry. The people who are faking like their schools to issue fake student visas. Truly evil industry. The people who are faking like their schools to issue fake student visas. That's a true evil industry.
I was gonna say earlier. I don't think any industry is inherently evil except for name examples such as human trafficking, such as drug dealing, such such as
pyramid-
for name examples such as
pyramid
human
scheme.
trafficking,
Yeah.
such as drug dealing, such as black market, arms dealing, things like that.
Immigration fraud.
Immigration fraud. Like, yeah, when you start getting into the things that we've already outlawed as a society, it might be an evil industry. You might want to consider that a little bit. But anyways, we'll wrap this up. We've taken up enough of your time. These are important issues that are facing us today. So this is a bit more of a serious episode. Nonetheless, we'll hope to catch you on the next one. And until next time.
One love.
2025.
Cool. So the music comes in.
20,
One love.
2025.
Peace. When I say peace, right there. Peace. That's when I'll do the cut, and then at some point all the cameras turn off before the audio. Right there. So we're gonna find this It should be that, right? But it is. That's there. And now we have this little middle bit. We'll fade that into this. And you can kind of see them. We'll go to the end. We'll flip off that little end there. Backspace. Click O to make the out mark. And we've completed all of the cuts. It has taken us 1 hour and 21 minutes. A little longer than we wanted, but that is okay. A-okay. Tomorrow I'll be working on the color grading, and I'll be recording some of that as well as adding the remaining graphics. Shouldn't take too long on that, and then we'll be ready to upload for Sunday. Yes, we'll be upload for Sunday. And this year we're going to be launching video on Spotify alongside the YouTube, so stay tuned for that. We're very excited to have our listeners become our viewers. So awesome. Thanks for tuning in. Peace.